Hey guys, it's CL, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I make brand new Critical Role recaps every Monday at noon and would be happy to have you join the party. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the Bertrand bell to be notified of future videos. Now, without further ado, let's discuss the 34th episode of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. White. All fresh cut grass can see is white. They race through whatever vacuum of space or time or in between they're lost in, and their mind refocuses on a very beautiful land. Lavender towers stand tall over prismatic cobbles. A man with short, graying blonde hair is speaking to them, but he's not nice. FCG's scared of him for some reason. Then they're being led up to a house of an older noble woman. She's very kind to the Aormaton. She's a very nice woman. Women. Deanna. Many lovers that Chetney has taken comfort in his over 100 years flutter past his unfocused vision. But in the sky above him is a lover he's not known his entire life. Ruidus. The blood moon looms large and then envelops him. Chetney can feel the beast taking over, now transforming him into the wolf. He craves no longer the loves of his past, but there's a new hunger. To eat. To ruin. Ruin. Ashton stares up into the elven features of his father and his saint of a mother. They're walking towards their ruin, a portal surrounded by many leather-masked faces, their headdresses curving upwards. Upwards, past the Parchwood, past the quaint abode that Laudna called home, to the Briarwood dinner, even after the food had long gone cold, like her body hanging from the sun tree. Delilah never left the edges of her vision. Fear was surging through her. What was it of? The woman herself? Or the fear of losing Laudna? Was Delilah incubating, just waiting for the moment to pounce? I am his blood. You are my vessel. Her silken voice echoes. I will endure. I don't know if I can endure. Imogen, her body and soul shaking. She could burst at any moment, explode. Then she's walking. A violet-haired woman, Liliana, catches her as the young Imogen trips on the path. She pulls her close. She feels her mother's body tighten as Otohan appears, swirling with crackling energy. Run, Imogen, run! Her mother disappears, and no matter where she turns, Otohan is there. You are a true predator, a gift in their image. Master your own fate. Imogen attacks, the woman flying off into the searing white surrounding her. But then she's surrounded by the sounds of crashing stone, and the sting of sand begins to hit her face once again. Imogen opens her eyes, and she's in Bassaris. Except now, the city block where she was standing stands in ruin. She watches as the bodies of her party reappear following the destruction. But we don't have a moment to breathe. We immediately go into initiative order, and it's time for Marisha to roll the fate of Laudna. And if you truly didn't believe in fate or destiny, I think this roll could have changed your mind. A natural 1. Not only did she roll below the threshold of 10, or maybe even 11 or 12 considering Delilah had brought her back previously, but she rolled a 1. The final air seeps from Laudna's lips as she and the vacant bodies of Fern and Orem fall into the rubble. I like how Sam played it. Instead of metagaming, which I probably would have done to make sure I didn't lose my friend at the table, Sam checked with Matt about whether FCG had the knowledge that Fern could cast Revivify. Once deciding everything was okay, the robot brings back the druid in order to revive another member. Fern was falling below her deep green forestry, and eyes. So many eyes, all reaching out to take her soul. It's strange how Fern's end wasn't really a comfort. There was something off about it, like she'd been damned in some sort of way. Off enough that Fern wasn't prepared for that destination and luckily answered the call of fresh-cut grasses revivify. Once awake, there was a tough conversation to have. It was up to a coin flip. With Otohan nowhere in sight, I can't imagine what was going through all of their heads, especially Ashley's, when trying to find the answer for who should come back. I mean, Liam has already gone through the loss of a character during his time at the table. but it seemed that Orym would have been alright with going at that moment. But then you have Marisha, who has never experienced the loss of a PC she's made, but her character's already danced along the Veil of Death, and that could eliminate a potential future problem that lies in Delilah should she expire. And with a flip of that coin, Orym lands into a field of cherry blossoms. His husband Will there to greet him under the falling petals. He feels like home. But just as he's about to accept his ending, Fern's voice calls out through the void. "It's not time yet," Will says to his husband, and with a hug, they part once again as he regains consciousness. It was hard to move on at this point, after Ashton ties Laudna's body to his back, and Bell's Hells vacate to the safety of Imahara Joe's shop after a short break for the cast to regroup. Joe is kind and allows them to take refuge in an underground storage area until the threat of the Paragon's call subsides. To pass the time, they finally bully Treshy, who is still alive, and interrogate him about what he knows. While he wasn't familiar with what they were transporting, aka the Dunamancy vials, he did reveal the shipping path. Not only is Ludinus involved, but so is Gianna Hexam, who's been holding the material for a time after it came overseas. Chetney unlocks one of the boxes, and they find 8 of these potions of possibility to disperse amongst the party. What are they being used for? Well, if Fern's memory serves correct, they power the weird tubes on Otohan's back, and could be what gives her her ability to go to Ruidus. After speaking more with Armand and learning that he had nothing to do with Ira's Shade Mother business, just being another victim like the Callaways of the tricky being's plans, they toss him back into the hole, now knowing he's sort of in a bad light with the call. Chetney also manages to unlock the intense-looking black box and finds refined residuum. Yeah, this is a big problem. That means the Paragon's Call have been working on this plan for years, and who knows how deep or far they will go to meet their ends. Planning to eventually speak with Keyleth of the Arashari about what's happening in Marquette, they finally go to rest, all of them spent from the long day. Such a long day. The FCG fight was this morning, if that tells you anything. However, during their rest, they hear voices above and hide inside a secret passageway that leads out to the Hellcatch Valley. The Paragon's Call are searching for them, but luckily, our boy Joe doesn't rat them out, and the Hells are able to rest once the coast is clear. Calling for Captain Xandis and the Silver Sun to pick them up that day, Bell's Hells say goodbye to Joe, after paying him handsomely for his hospitality, and not at all stealthily board the ship and sail off into the distance towards Drusar, escaping several mammoth crawlers on the ground wanting to know what the fuck is up with that. What did you guys think of the episode? What did you think caused that whole mini flashback thing as Imogen unleashed her power? Ashton recognized and shared with the group that they saw their parents, and we learned the name of his village, the Ashari. Apparently, they were people several years ago who dabbled in primordial magic they didn't understand and were destroyed in some way. Ashton only remembers being found somewhere in the valley and brought to his brothers and sisters in the Greymoor home. They then pull out the strange leather mask they found in the museum during the heist of Gianna Hexam. It looks extremely similar to the one their father wore in his dream. Also, the names Zealand, Bennett, and Shady Sally are all people at the orphanage they grew up with. So I'll be interested if they pop up, or maybe even if they're old nobodies. What caused the dreams? While Imogen was sharing her feelings about what happened, we noticed her bolts on her hands have grown, and Matt also sneakily added a new feat into her character sheet. The look on Laura's face was priceless. We also had some cute moments between FCG and Chetney bonding over kind of poorly made woodwork. Honestly, I really enjoy Sam and Travis's dynamic in every campaign, and hadn't really noticed I was missing it until now. I mean, Grog and Scanlan, Ford and Knott, they're such funny relationship foils, and I'm glad that this pair are starting to warm up to each other and get to know each other better. This was such a heavy episode. I can't lie and say that it wasn't hard to focus, let alone write the script for this recap following everything that happened. Just trying to figure out what to say. Loss is such a strange thing that we deal with as human beings, and it's especially interesting to see how it's dealt with in the confines of media like this. I'm not going to pretend that losing Laudna isn't a blow. She's my favorite of the group this time around, and I had tears streaming down my face as Marisha stepped away from the table for the first time. I think an argument can be made for a lot of Belle's Hells, but I think Laudna is one of the reasons I've really been glued to this campaign. With her ties to the Briarwoods and Whitestone, her general demeanor and hilarity, I'm gonna have a hard time not feeling the emptiness of having her absent at the table. But all is not lost. The morning of their escape on the airship, Imogen gets into contact with Daddy Esteros, and she, in letters, warn him that the call will be after him now. However, he does promise to reach out and find a way to bring Laudna back to us. Marisha is a roleplay master, so even if we don't get our trio of bitchy witches back together, I know whoever steps up to the mantle will be just as amazing. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe. You can check out my other recaps of Campaign 3 on my channel or my album Scorpio. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Good day, my friends.